Ranger barked so hard the cellar door rattled on its hinges. The farmhouse sat hunched at the edge of the woods, its roof caved in patches, shutters rotting on their hinges. The soldier swept his flashlight across the porch, boots sinking into warped boards. Beside him, Ranger's nails clicked with each step. They had cleared 2 rooms already, dust-choked, empty. Nothing but overturned chairs and spider webs glistening in the dim. Then Ranger froze. His body stiffened, tail rigid, nose angled toward the back of the house. His ears pricked forward, and a growl simmered in his chest. The soldier whispered, "What is it, boy?" Ranger barked once, explosive, loud enough to shake dust from the rafters. He bounded toward the kitchen, claws scraping wood, and planted himself in front of a half-sunken door in the floor. The cellar. The soldier followed, beam cutting through cobwebs that veiled the trapdoor. The iron ring handle was rusted, wood swollen with age. Ranger's bark turned frantic now, echoing sharp against peeling walls. He pawed at the door, whining between bursts, nose pressed to the cracks. The soldier crouched, brushing dirt away with his glove. "Easy, boy. Easy." He tilted his head closer to the floorboards. The silence below was thick, pressing against his ears. He almost convinced himself there was nothing, just old rot and empty air. Then it came. A whisper. Thin. Trembling. So faint it could have been mistaken for the wind through boards. "It's dark in here." The soldier's breath caught. His hand froze on the handle. Ranger barked so violently the door rattled on its hinges. His body shook, muscles coiled to tear through it if he had to. The soldier leaned closer. "Hello? Who's down there?" No answer. Only silence, thicker now, as though the whisper had swallowed itself. He pressed his ear against the boards. His own pulse thudded in his skull. And then, again. Fainter. Fractured. "Dark, in here." His jaw set. "Stay calm," he muttered to himself. He pulled at the handle. The wood groaned, resisting, swollen tight. He gritted his teeth, put his shoulder into it, and yanked. The trapdoor lifted with a screech, dust billowing up. A hole gaped beneath, stairs disappearing into black. The air that rose from below was damp, sour, thick with the smell of earth and mildew. Ranger snarled into the opening, barking so hard the soldier had to grip his collar. "Down, boy. Hold." The flashlight beam stabbed into the cellar, carving a cone of pale light into the darkness. It illuminated only the first 3 steps, rotted, slick, edges chewed by damp. Beyond that, nothing but black. The soldier called again, voice steady but low. "If you can hear me, speak. Don't move. I'm coming." Silence. Then, drifting from below, so faint he almost doubted it. "Don't leave." The soldier's throat tightened. He clipped the flashlight to his vest, free hand gripping his rifle. He looked down at Ranger. The dog's body trembled, every instinct on fire, but his eyes stayed locked on the black below. "All right, boy," the soldier whispered. "We're going down." The cellar exhaled cold, damp air against his face. He placed one boot on the top step. The wood groaned like a warning. Behind him, the farmhouse went still. Only Ranger's growl and the whisper from below remained. "It's dark in here." The soldier shifted his grip on the rifle, its barrel angled low as the beam from his vest light pierced the black mouth of the cellar. His other hand reached down to steady Ranger's harness. The shepherd leaned forward, chest vibrating with a steady growl, but when the soldier murmured, "With me," he obeyed, paws pressing cautiously onto the first step. The wood groaned under both their weight. Dust fell in small clouds, drifting like ash. The soldier's boots creaked as he descended, testing each rung. The stairs were slick with damp, edges eaten away. He hugged the wall, distributing weight, rifle always angled into the void below. The cellar swallowed them quickly. Each step down, the world above faded, the distant creak of the farmhouse beams, the patter of rain on the roof. Soon there was only their breathing, the scrape of boots, Ranger's claws clicking wood. Halfway down, the soldier paused. The air was thicker here, damp and cold, carrying the smell of soil and rust. It clung to his throat, heavy. He whispered low, "Steady, if you can hear me, keep speaking. Let me know where you are." For a long breath, nothing. Just the hollow hush of the cellar pressing close. Then, faint, from below, "It's dark in here." The girl's voice. Weak. Shaking. The soldier clenched his jaw. "Hold on. We're almost there." Ranger barked once, sharp, the sound bouncing off stone walls. He pulled against the harness, eager, nose thrust forward. "Easy, boy." The soldier kept his pace slow. "We don't know what's down there yet." The last step crumbled slightly under his boot as he reached the cellar floor. He steadied himself, flashlight beam cutting through the dark. The cellar opened wide but low-ceilinged, lined with stone walls slick with moisture. Shelves bowed under the weight of rusted jars, cobwebs stretching like curtains. Broken crates littered the dirt floor. The beam slid across the far corner, where shadows seemed deeper, swallowing the light. Ranger growled louder, body rigid, tail stiff. He barked twice, stepping toward the corner. The soldier followed, slow, scanning every angle. His finger brushed the rifle's safety. "Where are you?" he called again, voice carrying low but firm. This time, the reply came clearer. "From that corner." "Here." The soldier's light steadied. He took another step. Ranger pulled harder, bark sharp, echoing against the stone. Closer now, the beam revealed a wooden hatch set into the cellar wall, half hidden behind crates. Its edges were sealed with iron bands, old but intact. A small vent slatted near the top exhaled stale air. From behind it came the voice again. Weak. Barely more than a breath. "It's dark in here." The soldier's chest tightened. Someone wasn't just in the cellar, they were trapped beneath it. He crouched close, fingers brushing the iron. The hatch was cold, damp with condensation. Rust lined the edges. Ranger pawed at it, claws scraping metal, barking furiously. His body slammed against the wood as though trying to break through. "Easy," the soldier hissed, steadying him by the harness. But his own pulse hammered with urgency. He leaned closer to the vent, flashlight beam illuminating just enough to show darkness within. "Listen to me," he said firmly. "You're not alone. We'll get you out." The whisper drifted back, trembling. "Don't leave." His throat tightened. "I'm not leaving. Not without you." The soldier stepped back, eyes scanning the hatch, calculating. The iron was old but solid. The hinges were sunk deep into stone. Breaking it would take force, and time. Behind him, the stairs creaked faintly. He swung the flashlight upward, rifle rising with it. Nothing. Just empty boards, dust drifting. But the sound hadn't been his imagination. The soldier's gut twisted. Someone, or something, had shut the trapdoor above. They weren't alone in the house. The cellar walls pressed tighter with every second. The soldier's flashlight beam swung upward, cutting through dust and damp air. The trapdoor at the top of the stairs was shut tight. No light leaked through the seams. He climbed 2 steps quickly, rifle slung to his back, shoulder braced under the wood. He shoved hard. The door didn't budge. "Damn it," he muttered under his breath. He pushed again, harder, boots digging into the steps. The hinges groaned but held. Whoever had closed it had locked it from above. Ranger barked furiously, leaping up the bottom rungs of the stairs. His claws scratched wood, tail stiff. He growled low, nose tilted toward the cracks above. The soldier hissed, "Easy, boy. We'll find another way." But inside, his chest tightened. He dropped back to the cellar floor, exhale sharp. The damp air clung heavier now, sour with mold. He wiped sweat and dust from his brow with a gloved hand, then swung the flashlight toward the iron-banded hatch in the wall. The girl's whisper floated again, fragile through the vent slats, "Don't leave me." His jaw clenched. "I'm not going anywhere. You hear me?" He crouched in front of the hatch, running his hands along the iron. The wood was swollen with moisture, soft in places. But the bands were strong, the hinges set deep into the stone wall. He pressed his face near the vent. "How long have you been in there?" Silence. Then a faint answer, broken, like it cost her everything to say it, "Days." "I don't know, it's always dark." The soldier's throat burned. "You're not alone now. We'll get you out." Ranger shoved his nose into the crack at the bottom of the hatch, barking until his chest heaved. He clawed at the dirt floor, frantic, as though trying to dig his way through. The soldier examined the hinges again, then pulled the crowbar from his pack. He jammed it into the seam, leaned his full weight. The iron shrieked but didn't give. "Come on," he growled, forcing it again. Rust flakes rained down, dust choking the air. The hatch shuddered but stayed shut. Behind him, a floorboard creaked above. The soldier froze, crowbar still wedged. He angled the flashlight upward. The ceiling groaned with weight shifting across it, slow, deliberate. Someone was up there. Ranger's ears snapped to the ceiling. His growl changed, deeper, more primal. He barked once, explosive, then stood rigid at the base of the stairs. The soldier's skin prickled cold under the sweat. Whoever had shut the trapdoor was still inside the farmhouse. Watching. Waiting. He yanked the crowbar free and slammed it again into the hatch seam, harder this time. The iron shrieked louder, the wood splintering slightly under strain. The girl whimpered through the vent, "Please, hurry." His voice was steel now. "I'm not leaving without you." He jammed the bar deeper, throwing his shoulder against it. The hinge groaned. Rust snapped. A thin crack split through the wood. Ranger barked in rhythm with every slam, claws tearing the dirt floor. The soldier wrenched one more time. The hinge gave a sudden pop, echoing through the cellar like a gunshot. He froze. Above, the footsteps stopped. For a long second, silence pressed down like weight. Then another sound crept through the boards, a drag. Like something heavy being pulled across the farmhouse floor. The soldier's chest tightened. Someone wasn't just keeping them down here. They were preparing something. He set his jaw hard, forcing the crowbar deeper. "We finish this now." The girl's whisper quivered again. "Don't let him in." He shoved harder, muscles straining, the hatch hinges screaming in protest. Splinters flew as the wood cracked wider. Ranger's bark grew frenzied now, echoing off stone. His body pressed tight to the hatch, teeth bared, as though he could tear the barrier down himself. And then, the hinge tore free with a screech. One side of the hatch sagged inward, light from the soldier's beam spilling through into the black space beyond. The soldier leaned in, coughing through dust. The opening revealed a narrow chamber behind the wall, lined with dirt and stone. In there, half shrouded in dark, was a girl's pale face, eyes wide, staring back at him. "It's dark in here," she whispered again. He reached a hand through the gap, voice steady, unbreakable. "Not anymore." But above them, the drag on the farmhouse floor stopped. Silence. The soldier's instincts burned. Someone was listening. Someone who did not want this hatch opened. The crack in the hatch widened with every pull of the crowbar. Rust snapped like brittle bone, flakes scattering across the cellar floor. The soldier's gloves slipped on the damp iron, but he leaned in harder, muscles burning. The girl's face hovered just beyond the gap, dust-streaked, eyes wide with the kind of fear that had sunk deep over days, maybe weeks. She reached toward him, her fingers trembling through the slats. "Please," she whispered. The soldier gritted his teeth. "Almost there. Don't move." Ranger snarled beside him, body rigid, eyes flicking between the hatch and the staircase. Every few seconds, his bark tore the silence, sharp, furious. The shepherd knew they weren't alone down here. Above, the boards groaned again. Heavy footsteps crossed the farmhouse floor, slow, deliberate, pacing directly above the cellar door. Then, stillness. The soldier froze, crowbar wedged tight. His ears strained in the silence. Then, dragging again. Wood scraping. Something heavy shifted across the boards, positioned directly over the trapdoor. They were being sealed in. "Damn it," the soldier hissed under his breath. He drove the crowbar deeper into the final hinge, shoulders slamming hard. The metal shrieked. The wood splintered, cracking down its center. The girl flinched at the sound, whispering desperately through the vent, "Don't let him in." The soldier's stomach tightened. He wanted to ask who him was, but there was no time. The hinge gave one last groan, and tore free. The hatch swung inward, the wood snapping off its rusted spine. Ranger barked furiously as the gap gaped wider. The soldier shoved the broken door aside and thrust his flashlight beam into the hidden chamber. It was narrow, barely tall enough for a child to stand, the stone walls slick with damp. A tattered blanket lay crumpled in one corner, a rusted tin cup near it. The stench of mildew and old earth poured out. And there, huddled against the wall, was the girl. She blinked into the light, her face pale and gaunt, hair matted. Her eyes darted between the soldier and the darkness above, as if expecting someone else to appear. The soldier dropped to his knees, extending a hand into the chamber. "You're safe now. Come on." She shook her head, voice trembling. He said not to move. His voice hardened, steady as iron. "I don't care what he said. You're coming out. Now." She hesitated, then reached for him. Her small hand fit into his glove like paper. He pulled her gently through the gap, tucking her against his chest. She weighed nothing. Her arms clung weakly around his neck, her whisper brushing his ear, "Don't let him find me." Ranger pressed close, barking once, then spinning toward the stairs. His growl erupted, ears rigid. The soldier swung his rifle back into his hands, the girl's small body shielded behind him. He aimed at the stairwell, flashlight beam cutting across the steps. The trapdoor above was still sealed tight. But the boards shifted, dust sifting down with each creak. Someone was kneeling up there. Listening. The soldier whispered into the girl's hair, "Stay still. Stay quiet." The girl whimpered, barely audible, "It's dark in here." Above them, silence fell again. Too quiet. The soldier's finger brushed the trigger. Ranger's bark broke into a snarl, the sound echoing like a warning bell through the cellar. Something waited above. And now, they had nowhere left to go. The girl clung to the soldier's chest, her face pressed into his collar, her small body shivering. He shifted her weight, one hand steady on her back, the other gripping the rifle. Ranger's growl vibrated through the cellar, low and constant, his teeth bared toward the stairs. His body was wound tight, muscles coiled like a spring ready to snap. Above them, the farmhouse groaned. The boards creaked with slow, deliberate movements. Then a thud, heavy, solid. Dust drifted down through the cracks of the trapdoor, coating the soldier's helmet. He raised the flashlight beam. The trapdoor sagged under sudden weight. Another thud followed, louder this time. Wood splintered faintly. Someone was placing something heavy on top. The soldier's jaw locked. He whispered to himself, almost a growl, "He's sealing us in." The girl whimpered. "He doesn't want me out." He crouched, speaking low but firm. "Listen to me. He doesn't decide what happens to you anymore. I do. And I'm getting you out." Her eyes flicked wide at his words, but she buried her face tighter into his vest. Ranger barked once, violent, the sound booming off stone walls. He lunged halfway up the stairs, snapping at the cracks above, claws raking wood. His instincts were screaming, "Fight." The soldier swept his light across the cellar again, calculating. No other exits. Just the stone walls, the shelves of rotten jars, and the broken hatch they'd pulled her from. He tested the air vent near the ceiling, too small for even the child to fit through. That left only the trapdoor. Another thud hammered above, followed by the unmistakable scrape of metal. Something heavy slid into place. Chains? Furniture? He couldn't tell. But the message was clear: whoever was up there wanted them to stay down here. The soldier pressed the radio to his mouth. "Delta 3 to command, do you copy? I have a survivor. We're trapped in a cellar. Hostile presence above." Static hissed back. No reply. Damn it. He clipped the radio back, pulse pounding. The girl's whisper cracked against his chest. "Don't let him take me back." His throat tightened. "He won't. I swear it." He angled his rifle upward, testing the trapdoor with the barrel. He shoved hard, but the wood barely shifted under the weight pressing it down. Whatever was stacked above wasn't moving easy. Ranger barked in a frenzy now, claws tearing splinters from the stairs. He leapt again, body slamming against the door, snarling so loud the soldier felt it in his bones. "Easy, boy," he snapped, but inside he wanted the same thing: to break through, to end this. The cellar air grew heavier, damp pressing against their lungs. Each breath felt harder. The girl coughed weakly, her voice barely air. "Please hurry." The soldier's mind raced. If the door wouldn't lift, maybe it would break. He shifted the girl into one arm, gripping her against his chest. With the other, he slung the rifle behind him and pulled the crowbar again. He planted his boots on the stairs, wedged the iron into the seam of the trapdoor, and heaved with everything he had. The wood groaned. Nails screamed against their anchors. Dust rained harder. Above, the weight shifted. A scrape. Then a slam. Something was shoved directly on top of the spot he worked. He gritted his teeth. Whoever was up there wasn't just blocking them. He was matching him move for move. Ranger barked so violently the sound was almost a howl, saliva spraying, eyes blazing. The soldier roared with effort, shoving harder. The crowbar bent, wood splintering. A thin crack opened, just enough for a sliver of cold air to leak through. The girl gasped against him, whispering fierce, "He knows you're here." The soldier bared his teeth, voice steel. "Then let him know I'm not leaving." The trapdoor gave a sharp crack, wood splitting wider. Dust and rain leaked through. For one heartbeat, the soldier thought he had it. Then, another slam above. Heavier this time. The gap sealed again, boards buckling inward. And through the cracks, faint but chilling, came a sound. A man's voice. Low. Measured. Almost a whisper. "Stay down." Ranger exploded, hurling himself at the door, barking with a rage the soldier had never heard before. The soldier's blood ran cold. Not just because someone was up there, but because the voice wasn't panicked. It wasn't rushed. It was calm. As if this was exactly where he wanted them. The soldier braced his boots wide on the cellar steps, crowbar wedged tight into the seam of the trapdoor. His lungs burned from the damp air, his gloves slick with sweat and dust. The girl clung to his chest, trembling, her whisper buried into his vest. "He won't let us out." His jaw locked. "Then we make our own way." Ranger erupted again, leaping at the trapdoor, slamming his body so hard against the wood that it shuddered. His teeth gnashed at the cracks, spit flying, a snarl tearing his throat raw. The soldier roared with him, shoving the crowbar upward. The boards groaned, splitting further, a shower of dust raining down. For 1 second, light knifed through, cold gray stormlight from the world above. He sucked in the air like it was oxygen after drowning. Then, slam. The light vanished. Something heavy dropped directly over the opening. Nails shrieked against wood. Above, the man's voice drifted again, low, deliberate. "Stay down." The soldier's teeth bared. He shouted up, voice booming through the cellar, "Not a chance." He jammed the crowbar deeper, muscles screaming. Ranger barked so violently the sound echoed like gunfire. The girl whimpered, clinging tighter. "Don't let him take me back." The soldier's arms shook, veins bulging. The crowbar bent under strain, but the wood began to give. Splinters cracked, one board snapping loud, exposing a wider slit of light. He shoved harder. "We're coming out." The man above dragged something heavier across the boards, furniture, by the sound. A table or dresser screeched into place, pinning the door tighter. The soldier's fury boiled over. He dropped the crowbar, slung the rifle forward, and fired a short burst into the seam. The cellar detonated with sound. Wood exploded in shards, the trapdoor trembling under the impact. Dust poured down, choking the air. Ranger howled with rage, lunging again at the door, claws tearing gouges into the wood. Above, silence followed. No scrambling. No retreat. Just stillness. The soldier reloaded with quick, practiced hands, barrel aimed at the widening cracks. He called up, voice sharp, commanding, "Show yourself." No answer. Only the faint patter of rain on the farmhouse roof. Then, soft footsteps. Slow. Walking away. The girl whispered against his chest, "He's not gone. He waits." The soldier lowered the rifle a fraction, breath tearing his lungs. His eyes flicked to the child, then back to the door. "Doesn't matter where he waits. We're getting you out." He shoved the crowbar again into the seam, heaving. The wood gave more now, the burst shots having cracked the spine. Ranger slammed against it, every ounce of his body driving with him. Another board snapped. Rainlight streamed wider through the gap. But with it came a new sound. The man's voice, faint, drifting back toward the trapdoor. "If you come up, you won't leave." The soldier's pulse hammered, but his voice stayed steel. "We'll see about that." With one last roar, he drove the crowbar upward. The trapdoor split, bursting open in a spray of splinters. Rainlight flooded the cellar. Ranger leapt through first, snarling, his body vanishing into the farmhouse above. The soldier hoisted the girl tighter, ready to follow. His boots pressed the shattered step. But in that moment, he caught it, just a shadow flickering past the beam of light above. The man was still there. Waiting. Ranger shot through the cracked trapdoor like a bullet, claws ripping wood, snarl tearing through the farmhouse air. Above, the sound of struggle erupted instantly. A chair crashed against the wall, heavy boots thudded across floorboards. Ranger barked and growled with a fury the soldier had never heard from him, an animal's promise to protect. The soldier shifted the girl higher in his arms, one arm locked around her, the other gripping the jagged edge of the broken hatch. Splinters bit through his gloves as he pulled himself upward. The girl whimpered, her voice cracking. "Don't leave me down here." His reply was steel. "Not a chance." He hauled himself halfway through, boots braced on broken steps, shoulders forcing the trapdoor wider. Rainlight spilled across his face as he lifted her through the gap. "Hold tight," he ordered, muscles straining. Ranger's snarl rose to a roar. The soldier's eyes caught a glimpse, the shepherd lunging across the farmhouse floor, teeth sinking into a figure's arm. A man in a torn coat staggered back, crashing into a table, sending it skidding across the boards. The man's face was shadowed, rain-soaked hair plastered down, eyes hollow in the dim light. He grunted, swinging a rusted pipe at Ranger, who dodged with a bark and lunged again. The soldier shoved the girl the rest of the way up, guiding her trembling feet onto the floorboards. She crawled away from the fight, curling against the wall, sobbing into her hands. He pulled himself up next, rifle in hand, boots hitting the farmhouse floor with a thud. The man spun, pipe raised. His voice was low, almost calm despite the chaos. "She stays here." The soldier leveled the rifle. "Not anymore." Ranger lunged again, clamping onto the man's sleeve, dragging him sideways. The pipe clanged against the wall, sparks flashing. The soldier advanced, rifle steady. His breath came slow, trained, while inside his chest rage burned hot. "Step away," he ordered. "Now." The man's eyes flicked to the girl, then back to him. His lips twisted into something almost like a smile. "You can't take her. She belongs in the dark." The soldier's teeth clenched. He pressed the barrel closer, voice a razor. "The only place you're going is down." The man snarled, wrenching free from Ranger's grip with a violent jerk. Blood streaked his arm, but he lifted the pipe again, knuckles white. The girl screamed. The soldier's finger brushed the trigger. But Ranger struck first. The shepherd launched himself, body slamming into the man's chest. Both crashed into the table, shattering it with a deafening crack. The pipe skidded across the floor. The soldier lunged forward, boots slamming down on the weapon, rifle locked on target. The man lay gasping, pinned under Ranger's teeth, blood dripping down his sleeve. His voice rasped through clenched teeth, "You shouldn't have opened it." The soldier's glare hardened. "You shouldn't have locked her in." For a heartbeat, the storm outside swallowed the farmhouse, thunder rattling the windows. Then, the man twisted, kicking violently. Ranger snarled, dragging him back down, teeth tearing fabric. The soldier kept his aim steady, but his ears caught something else, footsteps. Not the man's. Another set. From deeper in the farmhouse. His chest went cold. The girl whimpered, curling tighter against the wall. "There's more." The farmhouse shook with thunder as rain hammered the roof. Ranger kept the first man pinned to the splintered floor, jaws locked around his arm. The man writhed, groaning, blood smearing the wood. The soldier's rifle stayed trained on him, but his ears picked up something else, boards creaking, weight shifting in the hallway. Another step. Then another. The soldier's chest tightened. They weren't alone. He backed toward the girl, tucking her behind him with one arm. "Stay low. Don't move." Her small fingers clutched his vest. Her whisper cracked against his ear, "There's more, he wasn't the only one." Ranger barked in a frenzy now, but didn't release his grip. His tail stiffened, his body vibrating with tension. The soldier's flashlight beam swept the hallway. The light caught peeling wallpaper, a crooked doorframe, and a figure. Another man. This one taller, broader, his outline filling the hallway. His face hidden in shadow, but the glint of something metal shone in his hand. The soldier leveled his rifle, voice cutting. "Stay where you are." The figure froze. For a moment, silence pressed thick. Then he stepped forward. Slow. Deliberate. Ranger erupted, barking so violently the windows rattled. He released the first man with a final snarl, spinning toward the hallway, teeth bared, saliva flying. The soldier shouted again, louder. "Drop it!" The figure kept walking. The soldier's finger hovered the trigger. Final warning. Thunder cracked overhead, drowning his words. In that flash of lightning, the hallway figure lunged. The soldier fired. The shot split the farmhouse, echoing through every rotten beam. The figure staggered, slammed against the wall, but didn't fall. He steadied himself, still clutching the metal object. The girl screamed, curling against the wall. Ranger bolted, slamming into the man's legs with a growl. The figure stumbled, cursing, the object clattering onto the floor. It wasn't a gun, it was a length of chain, heavy and rusted. The soldier advanced fast, rifle barrel snapping down on the man's chest. Down. Now. The man's breath hissed through his teeth. His eyes glinted in the dim. She doesn't leave this house. The soldier's voice was ice. She already has. Behind him, the first man groaned, dragging himself toward the wall, blood pooling under his arm. 2 of them. And who knew how many more? The soldier's radio hissed static again, useless. His chest pounded with rage. He couldn't afford to wait for help. He crouched low, shifting the girl into his arms again. We're moving. Now. Ranger planted himself in front of them, snarling at both men, his body braced like a wall of teeth and fury. The soldier backed toward the door. Stay with me, boy. The girl's whisper trembled against him. Don't let them take me back. He glanced down at her, his grip tightening. They won't. Not while I breathe. The taller man straightened, wiping blood from his lip, his smile faint but twisted. You'll never make it out. The soldier's eyes hardened. He nodded at Ranger. Then we'll fight our way through. The farmhouse shook with chaos. Rain hammered the roof, wind howled through broken shutters, and Ranger's snarls tore through the storm like thunder. The soldier shifted the girl higher in his arms, her fragile weight pressing against him. She sobbed quietly, whispering into his chest, "Don't let them take me." "Never," he growled, rifle snapping to the hallway. The tall man lunged again, chain swinging wide. The soldier sidestepped, shouldering the girl close as the links cracked against the wall, splintering wood. Ranger darted forward, teeth sinking deep into the man's calf. The attacker screamed, buckling to one knee. The soldier seized the moment, boots slamming into the man's chest, sending him crashing into a doorframe. The chain clattered to the floor. "Ranger, guard," he barked. The shepherd released, spinning instantly to face the other side of the room. Because the first man, the one with the torn sleeve and bleeding arm, was dragging himself up, eyes burning with rage. His hand groped for the rusted pipe near the shattered table. The soldier swung the rifle. "Don't." The man froze, chest heaving, eyes darting to the girl. His lips curled into a snarl. "She belongs to us." The soldier's finger hovered the trigger. Not anymore. He stepped backward, guiding them toward the farmhouse door. Rain light flickered through its cracked frame. Just a few more feet. But the boards above groaned. Heavy footsteps moved across the second floor. The ceiling sagged faintly with weight. There were more. The soldier's pulse hammered. They were running out of time. He raised his voice over the storm. "Ranger! With me!" The shepherd bolted to his side, hackles high, teeth snapping at the wounded man who dared step closer. The soldier yanked the door latch with one hand, holding the girl tight in the other. It stuck, swollen with rain. He slammed his shoulder against it once, twice, then the wood cracked, swinging wide. Cold rain and wind blasted inside. Freedom. But the tall man lunged again, chain whipping forward. It wrapped across the soldier's arm, yanking him sideways. The girl shrieked, clinging to his vest. The soldier roared, wrenching free, slamming the butt of his rifle into the man's face. Blood sprayed as he toppled backward, crashing into broken furniture. "Move," the soldier barked. Ranger exploded past him, out into the rain, barking into the night. The soldier followed, boots pounding across the porch. The girl buried her face in his chest, sobbing. Behind them, the wounded man screamed in fury. The chain rattled, boots pounded after them. The soldier sprinted into the yard, mud splashing under his boots. Wind tore at his helmet. Ranger ran point, ears pricked, growls echoing through the storm. The girl whispered again, trembling, "He won't stop." The soldier's jaw clenched. "Neither will I." Thunder cracked overhead. He glanced back, two figures staggered into the doorway. Bloodied, furious, silhouetted in the stormlight. They were coming. The soldier turned toward the tree line, heart hammering. Every step carried them farther from the farmhouse, but not from the danger. Because the girl's whisper came again, broken but certain, "There's more, waiting outside." The storm swallowed the yard in sheets of water, wind ripping through the trees. The soldier's boots sank into mud as he sprinted, the girl clutched tight against his chest. Her arms wrapped around his neck like a lifeline, her whisper breaking in gasps. "Don't let them take me back." "Not tonight," he rasped. Ranger charged ahead, barking so violently the storm itself seemed to flinch. His body cut through the rain like a missile, tail rigid, hackles bristling. Behind them, the farmhouse door crashed open. Two men staggered out, one with the chain, the other clutching his bloodied arm around the pipe. Their eyes locked on the soldier. Their voices rose together in a chilling promise. "She stays with us." The soldier spun mid-stride, rifle raised one-handed. He fired 3 sharp bursts. The muzzle flash lit the yard in strobe-like flickers. Wood splintered from the porch posts. One man ducked, the other dropped flat into the mud. "Ranger, take him." The shepherd obeyed instantly, tearing across the yard. He slammed into the tall man with the chain, jaws snapping onto his forearm. The chain fell into the mud as the man screamed, rain mixing with blood in a red torrent. The soldier pressed forward, hauling the girl toward the tree line. But his gut twisted, if he left Ranger, they'd all be lost. He pivoted back, rifle braced against his shoulder. The wounded man with the pipe lunged, swinging wildly. The soldier's shot rang out. The man's body jerked, pipe clattering into the mud. He collapsed face first, unmoving. Ranger shook the other man's arm violently, dragging him to the ground. The man thrashed, kicking, but the shepherd refused to let go. The soldier rushed in, rifle barrel pressing into the man's chest. "It's over." The man spat blood, his eyes flashing hate. "You shouldn't have opened it." The soldier's voice was ice. "She wasn't yours to keep." He pressed down. The man groaned, strength draining. Ranger released only when the soldier gave the signal, his teeth bloodied, chest heaving. The yard went still except for the storm. The girl trembled in his arms, whispering one last time, "Don't let him in." The soldier crouched, shielding her with his body, voice firm and steady, "He's not getting near you. Not ever again." Ranger pressed against his side, growl fading into steady panting, his body still braced as a wall. The farmhouse loomed behind them, broken, dark. The attackers lay scattered, silent in the mud. The storm carried their moans into nothingness. The soldier lifted his head toward the tree line. Lights flickered in the distance, a road, maybe another farmhouse, maybe help. He tightened his grip on the girl. "We're going. We're not stopping." Her fingers clung to him tighter, whisper fading into exhaustion. "Thank you." The soldier glanced down at Ranger. The shepherd's eyes met his, fierce but loyal, as if to say, "Not until she's safe." Together, they stepped into the storm, leaving the cellar, the farmhouse, and the men who thought the dark could hold her forever.